I thought to just make the video for the gun to explain it and answer your questions and maybe give you a better idea what it looks like. So I have it upside down right now. You can see the plate runs over the top, and that's to retain the bands after firing, or just to keep it out of the way of the shooting line. You can see the shooting line's routed right down the middle, and that's why I have the guide right there, is to keep it down the middle. Without the guide, the shooting line sits against the band, and sometimes it'll get caught in there, especially if I make the band tight against the gun. It can get caught. That happened to my previous gun. I have another picture where the band's loaded. Let me actually click this one notch back. You can see how it works. Hopefully that filmed it. If not, I'll do it again here in a second. As you can see now, the shooting line will sit right against the bands without the guide. So the guide's there to keep it nice and neat, and it just makes it a lot better. And it's really just a bent piece of stainless and rounded over. I had a random bit of metal. The notches I just cut out with I had like a handsaw. I'll bring it out here in a second. But you want to cut it fairly deep to retain the bands, and also there is no gap with the plastic. When you move it, don't put any space at all, but it just deflects slightly to get the wishbone through. I did make a mistake and I rounded the bottom, so what happens is when I unload, the bands kind of don't want to go in the notch. Sorry. And it can sit like that against a notch. So you kind of have to figure out how to get that to happen from happening. And I figured if I just made the bottom part of this perfectly flat, unlike it's rounded, you can't really see it now, but it's tapered on both sides, then that would work. Let me pause the video, or let me bring out the saw that I used to cut it. It was just I mean, it really doesn't anything. A handsaw would work, but this is what I used. I could have used a handsaw to get it started, and then taking sandpaper or what. But that's the gun. I don't remember what other questions yet. Oh, this plate is for lead, for ballasting, so I can adjust the ballast. If, for example, I use a 7mm shaft versus a 7.5, I can add, or I can reduce ballast because it'll be a little bit muzzle heavy, that sort of thing. What I should have done is just cut the ballast slot underneath the track, and then when this removable track, I can just add ballast and it gets covered up. I didn't think of it till after. That's how I normally do it. It's that way. The reason I didn't like the magnets is because I got this discussion about how magnets slow the shaft down. So if I just had the enclosed track all the way, that would have been probably a little better if I had an enclosed track to about here. And this, this is a 7.5 shaft. It actually holds pretty well in this Neptunics track. But if I had a 7mm or 9/32, it's a little bit floppy. That's why I put the magnets there. Wishbones are tied in. You can take it out, but that's really not the easiest way. It's just better just tying your bands. You should just do that anyway. It's just I know it's inconvenient, but once you do it, it's easy. As I just make 2 loops and the wishbone gets replaced whenever I want. And that's the gun. This video is long enough. Bye.